Hello and welcome to MyFusion Helper. This short video is going to show you how to use the Mathit helper, which is a fun little helper that does a lot of really neat little tricks, and it's super easy to use. So let's jump in and kind of do a live demo, and I'm going to kind of walk you through it and show you some examples of how to set it up. It's fairly easy, but it does need a little bit of understanding of how it works. And then after that, I'm going to show you some examples. We're going to talk about some different cases of how you might use this in your business. All right, let's jump right in. All right, here we are in the app, and you can see, like normal, we start out with a quick search. So if we just type in math, it'll jump right to it, or we can just scroll down and select it, and then we give the helper a name. So I'm going to call it the Mathit demo, and then what we're going to do is we're going to select a field to start with that we're going to perform some type of math function on. Okay, so you would likely be using a custom field. So I have a custom score field in here. Let's just use that. And then you're going to send, this value back to another field. Now, it could be the same field, or it could be a different field. I'm going to go ahead and put it back into the same field that it's in, so that as we're done doing the update, it just updates that same field. But you could move it to another field if you wanted as well. And then we're going to give it a formula. So I want you to kind of get creative and think of this. As you're using memberships, this can be very, very powerful. Let's say that you have trackers for when somebody takes a certain action and you're rewarding them with points. So maybe their score is going to increase by 2 points because they did something. Well, we can come in here and say add 2. Or maybe, they sent out a referral, they clicked on a link and they referred somebody to them. So you're going to add, 50 bonus points to their score and, do some type of gamification. Well, that would be an easy way to do that. Or maybe you're going to have a huge bonus where you actually just, add, not just add, but you multiply their entire score. So maybe you have something like this where you multiply their whole score by 2 and you double whatever their point value is based on some bonus that they took. All of this stuff can easily be done. Another thing that is very, very common is just adding 1 or subtracting 1, right? These are very, very common things. The add 1 is used a lot for a simple increment, and you're incrementing the number of times somebody logged in. You might add that, etc. Okay, very, very simple. And then if let's just go back to the one that you had multiply by 2, and you might have something like an API goal triggered for referral bonus goal. Now, this you would be configuring through the Goalit helper, so that's a separate configuration. But what's nice here is instead of applying a tag that you have to go configure or whatever, you can just trigger off this API goal name to fire instead. So this is just some of the options. There's lots of different things that you could do here, but I just wanted to give you some ideas of some various ways that we've used it and how you could use it as well. Then you just scroll down and create the helper like normal. And once created, it's going to give you a link that you can copy, and we'll just go into Infusionsoft and paste that link in just like we normally do. So here we can copy on the link, and then we can go into Infusionsoft, and we have some sequence that we're going to put it in. We would come over here to the process, scroll down, grab the send HTTP post, drag it on, name it properly, and then we'll just come in here and paste in the result. There we go. Paste in the URL and then mark it as ready, and you are good to go. All right, so we talked about how to set it up. Let's talk about some different use cases and examples when you might use this. Incrementing or decrementing a counter is probably the single most common usage for the Mathit helper. There's lots of different scenarios, especially with membership sites where you want to be able to increment or decrement a counter. A lot of times you'll use this as well when you're creating sophisticated email follow-ups where you want to be able to restart people and have them skip over emails that they might have already received. So let's just imagine you had 10 emails in a series, and after each email you set a custom field saying received email 2, received email 3, received email 4, etc. And then maybe they stopped out of that for a reason, and then you want to restart them, and you want them to skip over until they get to the counter of the one that they haven't seen, right? It's a very kind of more sophisticated and elegant way of doing emails for indoctrinations or things where they might need to be stopped and restarted, and using an increment counter in Infusionsoft is one way that you might be able to do that. Now, another scenario might be adding the value of a last purchase to a campaign to track campaign value via a custom field. So let's say you have a robust campaign that's got several different products and services that it's pitching over the course of 3 months, and you really want to know how much somebody is spending during the lifetime of that campaign. Now, not the lifetime customer value, but the campaign customer value, right? So that you can look at how effective that campaign is. Well, you could do that very easily by putting a tag at the beginning and the end of the campaign. So whether or not they're in that campaign or not, they have this tag. And then in your purchase anything actions, you could check for that tag, and then you could check for the value of the last order at any point and add it to a campaign custom field to track. So now anytime any purchase of anything is made during that campaign, you would be incrementing the value of that custom field and tracking it. So this is another very useful example of when you might use the Mathit function. Another one is tracking rewards points and systems that we've talked about. This can be very, very useful in gamification in your membership sites, where you give people bonus points for doing this or bonus points for doing that, and you want to be able to add and decrement those appropriately. Then that's an easy way to do it with the Mathit helper. All right, so we gave you a whole bunch of different examples and walked through some scenarios. I hope that was of great use to you. Enjoy.